Hello, my name is Josiah Ray. I'm going to show you how to quickly create some horror titles in Adobe After Effects. Now here we are in After Effects, and I've got just this random footage that I'm going to use. And we're going to drag this down to create a new composition. And what we want is we want some footage with motion in it. So we're going to scroll through to, right about here or so, right as there's a lot of motion in the frame. And I'm going to trim this clip up by holding down Alt or Option and pressing the open bracket. So we'll go to the beginning of the timeline and push the open bracket, and that will bring our footage right to where we need it. And we're not going to need too much, probably only about 10 seconds or so. So let's close our render area up to about 10 seconds. And now what we're going to want to do is begin to mold this to make it more of a distortion kind of background that we're going for. So go to Effect, Color Correction, Brightness and Contrast, and we're going to turn the contrast all the way up. And we'll bring a little bit of brightness in, but not too much. And we're going to go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Fast Blur. Make sure Repeat Edge Pixels is checked on. And we'll blur this out a little bit so you can't really tell what's exactly going on. Now we're going to duplicate the footage. And underneath its scale property here, uncheck Constrain Proportions. And we're going to actually enter in -100. And that will flip our image completely around. We'll select underneath the transfer mode screen, and we're going to offset it a little bit from the other motion so that it looks a little bit different, so it's not completely mirrored. So we'll bring both of those back to the beginning of the composition, and we've got just some really random motion going on here. And I can also darken this down a little bit later. But I'm going to select the bottom layer and go Effect, Stylize, Glass, just to add a little bit more distortion into it. And I'm going to increase the height of it so that we really get some weird kind of looks and distortion going on. And that looks all right. I might increase the blur just a little, just so that you cannot see her face. And that looks all right for now. Select both layers, and we're going to go to Layer, Pre-Compose, and enter in Distortion. Now that we have that, we're going to create our text layer, and this is what will be being distorted for this. So select the text typing tool, and I'll just enter in a random title. I'll just call it Retribution. And we're going to scale this up by dragging one of the handles and holding down the Shift key. And let's go into the character presets, and we're going to uncheck this italic. We don't want it italic. We do want it to be as bold as possible, so that's a pretty good size. You'll also notice that I've got my stroke set to white as well as the fill here in the character presets. And I've increased the stroke on it a little bit to sort of fake a little bit extra bold. And we'll also bring the kind of rescale that just a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more like what we want it to. Something like that. I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to create horror titles in Adobe After Effects. I'm Josiah Ray.